What's the most disrespectful thing a teacher ever did to you? I was diagnosed with severe anxiety in middle school, and my therapist helped me get a 504 plan that allowed me to step out of class when I felt a panic attack coming on. It was my lifeline on bad days, and most teachers respected it without question. Then came Mr. Wilson, my 10th grade history teacher. From day one, he made it clear he thought mental health accommodations were just excuses for lazy students. The first time I needed to use my plan in his class, my heart was racing and my vision was starting to tunnel. Classic signs I had about 2 minutes before a full breakdown. I quietly raised my hand, and when he called on me, I whispered that I needed to step out. He stared at me for a long moment, then loudly announced to the entire class, "Another day, another excuse from our resident drama queen." I felt 30 pairs of eyes lock onto me as my face burned with humiliation. I still got up and walked out because I literally couldn't breathe, but I could hear him continuing to mock me as I left. When I returned 15 minutes later, he had written "tardy" in huge letters next to my name on the board, even though my 504 explicitly stated these mental health breaks weren't to be counted as tardies or absences. His pattern continued for weeks. He'd make comments like, "Here comes another Oscar-worthy performance," or "I guess some people just can't handle real life." One day I was having a particularly rough morning after my grandmother had been hospitalized the night before. I could feel the familiar tightness in my chest as Mr. Wilson launched into a lecture about personal responsibility and how, back in his day, kids didn't need special treatment. I raised my hand, already struggling to breathe normally. He ignored me completely. I raised it higher, my hand shaking visibly now. He looked directly at me, then called on someone else. The room started spinning, and I knew I couldn't wait. I stood up to leave, and he shouted, "Sit down right now, or it's detention!" I froze, caught between my body's urgent need to escape and the authority figure blocking my way. "My 504 plan," I started to explain, but he cut me off. "I don't care what piece of paper your parents got because you can't handle normal teenage stress. In my classroom, you follow my rules." That's when I collapsed. Not dramatically or for attention. My legs simply gave out as the panic attack hit full force. I fell against a desk, knocking it over with a crash that seemed to echo forever in the sudden silence. As I gasped for air on the floor, tears streaming down my face, Mr. Wilson stood over me and said, "Get up, you're disrupting my class with this ridiculous display." A student finally ran for the nurse, while I lay there, hyperventilating. The school called my mom, who arrived to find me still shaking in the nurse's office. When she heard what happened, I watched something change in her expression. My normally soft-spoken mother marched straight to the principal's office with me in tow. She didn't raise her voice once, but she laid out exactly how Mr. Wilson had violated federal law by ignoring my documented accommodation plan. She explained how his public humiliation had actually worsened my condition, but then she said something I'll never forget. "If my daughter comes home one more time having been denied her legal right to manage her health condition, I will have a lawyer in this office so fast your head will spin." The principal started with the usual deflections about misunderstandings until my mom pulled out her phone and showed him the daily journal she'd had me keep documenting every incident with Mr. Wilson, including dates, times, and witness names. 3 days later, Mr. Wilson was required to make a public apology to me in front of the class. He was sent to mandatory sensitivity training, and a note was placed in his permanent file. For the rest of the year, he never made eye contact with me again, but he also never once questioned when I needed to step out. Sometimes I still think about how many kids like me just suffered in silence because they didn't